So we're just continuing on from where we previously left off, and we're just looking at the textures. And one thing that I wanted to mention before we move on to this next section is basically we have the buttons over here, but we also have the buttons in the 3D editor too. So if we want to, we can go in and we can interact with these patterns in the 3D editor. We can scale them, we can rotate them. So you can do that in the 3D editor as well as the 2D editor if you want to. So another element to the textures that we're going to look at is this middle button here, and that is to add a graphic. And what this will do is it will import an overlay for instance, if you have a logo on a shirt, something like that, you could, rather than having to worry about adding it into the texture, you can just import it as an overlay. So let's just import one and we can just see how easily it is to set one up. So we click Add Graphic, just point to a transparent texture. So in this instance, I've just brought in my own logo, and let's just chuck it on the skirt down here. Click OK. Now, we just use the normal tools to scale this up because it just adds it as a normal pattern. Let's just move that around. We can't see it very well on top of those skulls, but let's just sync that over here. And as you can see, it's now overlaid onto the skirt there. If we want, we can copy and paste that, and let's maybe put one over here, and that synchronizes with the 3D view and adds it into there as well. As you can see, it's all squashed up, but that's because the fabric is squashed up, so that's not a problem with the graphic. Oops. And again, we can edit those in here. We can rotate them, we could scale the pattern, but the thing is, when you scale the actual pattern, it's going to scale inside this here rather than inside the actual pattern limits here. So you're only scaling the texture, you're not actually scaling the pattern itself. To do that, you just have to go back in here, select this, and scale it like so. So we could have that falling off the edge. So that's just another element to the textures. So you can include your own overlays. Like I say, it's handy for logos and for anything else like that that you need to add on top of a particular fabric pattern. So that is just a very quick overview of the texturing process in Marvelous Designer. Using the library, you can specify a main texture folder, and then it's just dragging and dropping those onto the fabrics, and then you can quite easily go in, adjust the scale, orientation, rotation of those patterns, and then when you're happy, and when we're at a stage where we're going to export this, it will export all the textures for you. So I think we're coming to a point now where we've covered creating the garment, editing patterns and creating patterns, using fabrics and crease lines and all sorts really. We've covered pretty much all the main areas to do with creating this dress. So I think from this stage, what I'd like you to do is maybe spend more time on the dress itself. If you want to add your own textures in, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to texture this later on while I'm working on the actual final render. So I'm not going to worry too much about texturing this dress at the moment. So don't worry too much about that. I just wanted to get the process across so that you've got that in your mind, and you can hopefully see how you can use it on future projects. So from here, get the dress to a stage where you're absolutely happy with it, and you're happy for us to move to the next stage where we look at exporting it. And that's what we'll do next. We'll look at bringing in morph targets, posing the character, and getting her ready to export this dress into another application, ready to render.